Your Excellency, esteemed Kasim Jomart Kemilovich, distinguished participants of the Congress. Today, on hospitable Kazakh soil, once again, prominent religious leaders, representatives of international organizations, diplomats, and people of goodwill have gathered. I warmly recall my visit to Kazakhstan in 2012 and my participation in the 4th Congress of Leaders of World and Traditional Religions. I remember the remarkable atmosphere of that forum and the communication between its participants. And today I can see that while this gathering continues the tradition, it is also quite evident that the level and authority of this international platform have grown. The accompanying events, conferences, youth forum, cultural initiatives, and conceptual documents, all of these are marked by professionalism, valuable content, and relevance. I would like to express my gratitude personally to you, Mr. President, and to the government of Kazakhstan, which has established permanent mechanisms for interfaith dialogue, exchanges of views, and peace-building efforts. In 2012, in my address at the Congress, I spoke about how attempts to build human existence without God and religion would bring nothing good. I remember how we discussed this subject with Kasim Jomart Kemilovich some time later, when we met at the Trinity Sergius Lavra in 2014. It was encouraging for me that my words were attentively heard at that time and, most importantly, taken into account in the subsequent work of the Congresses of Leaders of World and Traditional Religions. Today's international situation once again proves that a world denying God is a world without a future. Bloody conflicts, serious economic and environmental challenges, terrorism, violations of basic human rights, all of these are direct consequences, including attempts to drive religion out of public life, leaving it only a place in the narrow private sphere of the individual. We all know well that despite the existing differences between traditional religions, they are united by a common purpose, faith in God and moral conformity to this faith. A society of genuinely faithful people is able to exist and develop in peace and prosperity. World history itself testifies to this. How many times has the Lord punished his chosen people for unbelief and moral corruption? It is well known that great empires also ceased to exist due in part to a crisis of faith and moral decadence, due to atheism and the absence of a unifying spiritual idea. Despite all that is happening around us, it must be said that the activity of supporters of secular ideology also provokes the opposite reaction, including among the youth. Today, especially in the post-Soviet space, there is a noted growth in religiosity among the younger generation. This contrasts with some other regions, as we know, and we see more and more young people in churches, mosques, synagogues, and datsans. Yet young people must be safeguarded from radicalism and guided towards a constructive path of dialogue and respect. In this sense, the idea of holding interfaith youth forums within the framework of our congresses deserves the fullest support, for they provide young believers with the opportunity to communicate directly, rather than through biased social networks and channels. One can utter many lofty words about peace, human rights, and the need to protect the oppressed. But words must always be supported by deeds, and the theme of today's forum calls us all to joint action. Therefore, we, religious leaders, fully support peace initiatives, including those of people of goodwill, aimed at overcoming existing crises and establishing and maintaining a lasting peace. One of the important aspects of today's forum is the close cooperation of the organizers with the Alliance of Civilizations and the United Nations. I believe this gives us an opportunity to ensure worthy representation of religious leaders in this important international organization. The idea of creating a consultative council of religions under the UN has not lost its relevance, an idea that we, together with a number of esteemed religious leaders, some of whom are present here today, tried to implement almost 20 years ago. At that time, unfortunately, supporters of radical secularism did not allow us to achieve this. The participation of traditional community leaders would undoubtedly strengthen the UN's peace-building potential. Our common voice, given our belonging to different religions and nations, could become a voice of conscience and reconciliation. Today we welcome here representatives of the United Nations as well. I hope this will help promote our ideas within the UN platforms. Religious leaders indeed have much to say to the world in order to make it better and safer in the future. Believers are carriers of centuries-old religious culture, which implies mutual respect, peace, and constructive cooperation. Thanks to this, representatives of different religions and nationalities live peacefully, in particular in Russia, in Kazakhstan, and in other places too, and work together for the good of their countries and peoples. In conclusion, I would like to quote the words of the Gospel, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. "Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid," said Christ to his disciples in his farewell address before being raised on the cross. True peace is possible only when a person is at peace with God, with their Creator. And this obliges a person to much. We have gathered here today in the union of peace, in order to develop friendly relations and make our contribution to bearing witness to our faith, and God grant that this faith is always accompanied by good deeds. With one voice we affirm that such faith, reinforced by good deeds and a moral way of life, can become the foundation of true and unshakable peace. And may our united voice sound as loud as possible. May the final declaration we adopt serve as yet another reminder that the spiritual and moral state of humanity truly determines the very existence of humankind. Thank you for your attention. We thank you, Your Holiness, for your warm and meaningful address. We deeply value your support and participation in the 8th Congress of Leaders of World and Traditional Religions, as well as your immense and constructive contribution to strengthening interfaith dialogue and cooperation in the world. I am confident that the ideas and assessments you have expressed will become an important part of the discussions within our forum. Thank you.